Chris Matthews, I have to apologize. Before we went to break, I said on the other side, we'll be joined by our brilliant panel and Chris Matthews. And you are the most brilliant of all, and I'm thrilled that you're here. But I didn't mean to say you know what I'm saying. I love you. You're brilliant.
Yeah, but I heard you the first time, though, Nicolle. But thank you for that. You know, I was watching all this. I watched it all, and I got in little points and big points. The Democrats are already imagining the days and months after they vote to impeach, probably the week before Christmas, maybe the 18th or 19th. So they're already worried about their record, all of them. So if you notice, even on these procedural roll calls that the chairman has called, because the Republicans on the committee have asked for a roll call, in each case they give a somber aye or yes. They're really very careful that nobody is snickering, nobody doesn't look totally somber. It's almost like they've been directed by a theatrical director. You must at all cost not look irreverent or snarky or anything but somber. So even on these roll calls, which are really just procedural, they really want to protect themselves from that 30-second ad against them, or any one of them, just one of them laughs at the wrong time during this hearing, and you'll be seeing it for months in TV commercials. I thought another point was very important by Professor Carlin. She distinguished what Trump asked Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, to do. He clearly asked him, when it finally came down to it, not for an investigation of Biden and the 2016 shenanigans, whatever, actually conspiracy nonsense, but for a declaration that he's investigating them. And so that clearly distinguished between something that could have been public policy, pursuit of corruption, and what was now clearly and distinctly and uniquely a political plus to the president by able to smear Joe Biden by saying he's being investigated right this moment in Ukraine, in Kiev. So clearly she nailed it. This was a bribery situation. I thought that was very important. The other one was, his name is Rauschenauer, the Republican from Pennsylvania on the panel. I thought it was interesting. I've never seen it so stark that a Republican says, I want us to out the whistleblower. We're not going to, the law doesn't protect his or her ID. Therefore, we're not going to protect it because it only protects them against retribution. But damn it, there's all kinds of retribution. There's official retribution by the government. But who knows out there might be out to get this person once they're identified. But here's this Republican saying right on television, out this person. We want his ID. I thought that was pretty stark and pretty brutal.
So much to unpack. Let me start with your first point. I think you're speaking to a little bit more decorum. I mean, I noted that, too. In Ranking Member Collins' questioning, there was more decorum than in the entire 2 weeks from Devin Nunes and Jim Jordan combined. But let me ask you, what they're arguing is so narrow. I mean, the line of questioning with Professor Turley has nothing to do with the facts. It would appear that today makes clear that none of the facts are in dispute. And I guess when the president confesses and the White House chief of staff confesses and they release a partial transcript, it's not a good use of energy. But do you understand the Republican argument to be somewhere between it's not impeachable and they haven't proven it yet?
Well, yeah, but first of all, on the question of the Republican ranking member here, Nunes has probably had and deserves about the worst 24 hours of his life. I mean, he has been completely caught up on the phone directory here. What is he doing talking to all these people, associates, henchmen of Rudy Giuliani? I mean, it's like picking up a rock, as I said, and seeing the bug life under the rock. All these people working together. I mean, Nunes and Giuliani and John Solomon of the Hill and all this working together in one big network, one big syndicate, you might say. And I think the point that Turley made today, and I thought it was a good point, he said you can't impeach a president for obstructing or having contempt for Congress if the courts haven't ruled in favor of Congress. In other words, to have a contempt charge, he says, or an obstruction charge, you have to have a court ruling saying, OK, turn over the documents to Congress, show up if you're a witness. And then if you reject that, then that's a contempt of Congress. Now, I don't know about that argument, but clearly the pattern of this president saying, I'm not sending any witnesses up there, and he didn't, in fact, give him one piece of paper, he's clearly operating in contempt of Congress. Now, I don't know why the courts are so slow, because my memory It's pretty clear. The courts moved rather quickly in the Nixon case. They said turn over those tapes, and that's what brought down Nixon. I don't know when these courts, except in the McGahn case, where they are starting to move. But even that is, what, a month off or more? So I think Turley's argument is you got to wait out the clock. You got to wait out all the court judgments. And only after you get a court ruling in favor of Congress can you call it contempt of Congress. That's an argument. It seems like the only one they had today.
Chris, because I can't wait till 7 to hear what you have to say about it, can we talk about the other headlines today being made on another continent? The president reacting, as I think all those of us who watch him and cover him could have predicted he would have reacted, canceling his press conference after the leaders of Canada, France, and even Boris Johnson, who he views as a pal on the world stage, were caught not really on a hot mic, but ostensibly laughing at him, making fun of him, acting out the facial expressions on his staff when he went on for a total of about 2 hours in extended photo op press avails yesterday. Your thoughts on the president sort of packing it up, heading for the plane and going home?
Well, to be publicly laughed at by three world leaders, Macron and Justin and Boris, all chuckling together like the boys' club, and you're not in the club. I mean, it was like one of those cartoons where the boys are up in the treehouse, and they're not letting the girls up. I mean, they're not letting him up. They're laughing about him. And also the gestures by Justin Trudeau of the face falling down, and we're having the good audio to pick up their actual words they're speaking. They're laughing about what we used to call the leader of the free world. He's a joke now. I would be mad too, but he sort of earned that role. I mean, let's face it, he doesn't want to be a member of NATO. He doesn't want to be an ally of anybody. The only friends he have are world monsters, like Putin and Sun Yat-sen or whatever. He doesn't seem to like anybody that's a reasonable person. Angela Merkel just happened not be in the group there. He's the odd man out now, and the president of the United States shouldn't be the odd man out.
It's just stark to see it on film and then to watch this president, again, while not surprising, it is stark to see him reactive and reacting. And there was no business that he wanted to do on behalf of the United States of America that could get him to put his personal hurt feelings aside. It's just, I mean, and you covered the administration in which I worked, and there were lots of tough policy disagreements around counter-terror policies and the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, but there was never a scene like that. So I think
well, compare him to George Bush Sr., who put together an alliance of the world, the Russians, the checkbook powers of Japan and Germany. Everybody paid for that first war in the Gulf, and beautifully put together by Jim Baker and George Herbert Walker Bush. And this president is the odd man. But there's a great irony here and maybe a justice here. Who is it that is most known among world leaders for making fun of other people? Who's most known for mimicking people, their looks, their handicaps, laughing at them? Who is most known for that? And here he is, hoisted on his own petard by three world leaders in a tape that will be replayed and replayed and replayed, showing their attitude, being laughed at by Boris Johnson. Think about that one. Think about being laughed at by Justin Trudeau, who just barely got reelected, who should be lucky to be at any meeting, and laughing at this guy. I mean,
unbelievable.
And by the way, they were in cahoots. They were loving it.
It's unbelievable, and I know we have to go, but it's just a moment you felt like you were there. I mean, they're talking about him the way a lot of Americans, the 60% of Americans who don't approve of him, and maybe even some who do, talk about him. World leaders, they're just like us, Chris. Thank you, my friend, for spending some time with us. I'm grateful.
Thank you.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.